for that panel. It should connect.
Who's that?
The story picks up from the reunion video where a member of an exploration group gets shot by a previously vanished member known as Peter Tench. This video is called Damage Control, where, as the name suggests, the higher-ups of the Async organization try to control the already out-of-control dilemma they put themselves in through deception, lies, dismissal of important safety precautions, and greed. Right off the bat, they reported Tench's disappearance as a freak accident which led to his death, trying to cover up his mysterious disappearance in order to bring some sort of closure to his family, or that's how they try to excuse themselves lying and covering up his mysterious disappearance and the extremely unsafe nature of the uncharted territories of the Backrooms. Async clearly has deadlines and interests in the Backrooms, wanting to exploit it for profit, with Tench's disappearance acting as a massive hurdle on the way for them to market this unknown place as a safe and affordable residential and industrial place. The story plays out from when Dr. Bloom was shot by Peter Tench, carrying on to the next following hours where Async tries to explain the situation to other members of the Async organization. As shown previously, Team B separated from Team A, exploring room 14C, which was previously barricaded after Marvin E. Lee encountered an otherworldly sentient entity.
That's not a person.
What is it?
That is not a fucking person!
This time around, the team came prepared, wielding a powerful shotgun in order to protect themselves in case of encountering any hostile beings or entities. To their surprise, they discover a team member who was a designated cameraman who disappeared more than 2 months ago without any sign, leaving the organization shocked and confused. Encountering this team member, known as Peter Tench, they notice how shaken and intense he acts, who tackles Dr. Bloom and takes the shotgun from him. Despite his nervous and unstable attitude, Dr. Bloom somehow thinks it would be a good idea to approach him and try to apprehend him, which of course backfires, with Peter shooting Dr. Bloom, feeling threatened. This ends the previous video, leading to this video explaining on why Peter Tench acted that way and what happened afterwards. So now we can compare whether my theories about what happened to Peter Tench were accurate or not. The entire situation and events following this incident are explained by a person in authority trying to excuse themselves of any wrongdoings through manipulation. Several security cameras placed in the charted rooms display how Peter only wanted to run away from the facilities, using the shotgun to scare off the personnel. 2 of the staff members dressed in a white shirt and tie chase after him, as if desperately trying to keep their dirty little secret safe by hiding Peter, who failed to capture him, with Peter seemingly exiting the corridors of the facility. The organization tries safekeeping their secrets, as if this information would ever leave the securely sealed doors of the facility, it would end up badly for them, dissuading many interested investors from keeping their money with them. Ivan Beck, despite being the CEO, refuses to appear at the staff meeting, asking someone else to take over. It appears that all the doors within the facilities were securely sealed off for several hours overnight, imprisoning the staff within the facilities, depicting the sensitive nature of this leaked information. This character of authority confirms that a lot of sensitive information were withheld from the staff members, which now has led them to believe to be the wrong method of conducting themselves, as this was the catalyst of the current incident with Peter shooting Dr. Bloom. This character explains how on March 1st, a team of researchers were sent for a routine layout analysis. George Levy, Martin Lee, Ronald McCarthy, and Peter Tench. Peter, as we know from the informational video, suddenly disappears, going into what seems to be a different dimension, with everything being deformed and outstretched, which we only learn to be 2 months into the future, with Async having already started to aggressively build and develop. This is where the Async organization takes a more drastic measure to withhold this information from public, faking an accident, covering up this interdimensional anomaly. Async tries to excuse themselves and label this as a necessity, something that would bring closure to his family, rather than telling them the truth, labeling the staged death scenario as a more acceptable explanation. Of course, if Async wasn't a greedy organization wanting to exploit this dangerous pocket dimension for money, they would come clean with their investors and public, revealing how unstable this place truly is, shutting off any further construction until more research has been conducted. But that is something they didn't decide to do and didn't want to do, as it would hinder their projected completion date, leading to delays and uncertainty for the investors who could potentially pull out. Just when you thought Async wouldn't take more drastic measures to hide their dirty little secrets and would eventually come clean as an honorable and honest way of dealing with their investors, they doubled down when they discovered Tench appearing randomly in a closed-off monitoring room after 2 months, whose discovery they keep a secret, moving him into a secure room within the complex where they run tests on him for several days, not letting him leave, effectively keeping him a prisoner. Despite the tests not providing any useful results with everything appearing absolutely normal, they still keep Tench within the complex, keeping his discovery a secret. They then move on to examining his camera footage, observing in shock what he experienced, breaking time and space rules, transporting into the future. Peter witnesses in confusion the new developments within the complex, with everything looking foreign to him, being horrified to some degree, as for him, his entire disappearance only lasted a few hours for him until he found a threshold. The personnel within the organization told him that he has been legally declared dead, and reversing that wouldn't be an easy feat, at least for the organization, as their reputation and credibility would be put under question. Regardless, they promised to reverse the situation, working on a solution to somehow reverse their mess up. While doing that, Peter initially agrees to this plan, but as time passes on, with him being trapped within the backrooms for many days, more than 2 weeks, he starts losing hope and trust in Async, as one would understandably do. Just imagine being told his disappearance has been covered up as a freak accidental death, which the organization so meticulously created. They then cover up his discovery to run a panel of tireless tests on him like a lab rat. They then proceed to keep him hostage to clear up their mess up, all while being lied to over and over again with broken promises. One would start questioning the credibility of the organization's promises, understandably starting to lose trust, as after all, Async has a large interest in this place, with so many investors and much money already spent, making it a highly priced place, not letting anything or anyone compromise it, meaning they could even take part in homicide and murder. Just thinking about it, going so far, staging a death and keeping someone trapped for so long, it makes it a very plausible possibility for them to kill Peter. After all, Peter has already been reported and declared dead. What sort of guarantee would he have staying within the complex for the Async not to just make an already dead person die? Due to sensory deprivation for 2 weeks, being kept in the facilities as a lab rat, Peter's mental state takes a toll, starting to consider very valid possibilities on what Async could do to him. The person in authority explaining the event simply dismisses it as Peter losing his mind, exhibiting paranoia and schizophrenic tendencies, justifying their cruel actions of keeping him within the facilities and dismissing the very valid reasons for Peter to try and escape. They further explain how Peter became deluded with the idea of how Async is there to do him harm, which in a lot of different cases, different people would probably think the same way, being a valid concern. What Async could have and should have done would be to let Peter go, especially as he seemed healthy. They should have came clean with the public and informed his family of his discovery, if they truly didn't have any ulterior and sinister motives with him, but they didn't do any of that and kept holding Peter as a prisoner. Peter, after being lied to and manipulated, is finally arranged to be transferred to a residence in a higher floor still within the backrooms. But that's when he decides enough is enough, stealing credentials of an engineer and going undiscovered until his encounter with Team B in room 14C. Being scared and confused, Peter sees some friendly faces, but as he sees Bloom approaching him, not listening to him at all, he shoots him, believing he is in on the secret, trying to keep Peter's discovery a secret. Luckily, it's revealed that Dr. Bloom didn't actually die from the gunshot injury, but went into critical conditions, with his survival being a question to ponder upon. Despite the clear signs of Async being evil and having sinister intentions, they say how they did everything in their power to support Peter and ensure him his safety and their best wishes, but for some reason they chase after him and try to apprehend him, even though they admit Peter exhibited signs of paranoia but wasn't actually diagnosed and wasn't dangerous for the public. The only concern Async had was their secrets to be leaked to the public and their investors pulling out, apart from the possible lawsuits and criminal charges of misconduct. Finch manages to somehow escape the facilities and head to the hillside outside, where the person in authority explains how they don't have any cameras set up there. This person continues that the staff of Async did a sweep of the field when they discovered the lifeless body of Peter halfway down the hillside, finding a heavy blow injury to his head, which they dismiss and label as a fall from the hill, which caused his death. Of course, if you thought this explanation and cause of death is extremely shady, you wouldn't be the only one. It just so happens to be so convenient that there are no cameras facing the outside of the facilities, Peter falling and receiving a heavy blow to his head which would cause his death, and the innocent and caring staff of Async finding him just like that. This person of authority of course leaves the important part to what they will do with the body and if they would ever come clean to the public and Peter's family on what truly happened to them, which most probably they won't and keep it a secret, as after all, when they found a monstrous entity, they kept that a secret too, as it would compromise their goals and interests. The person continues on manipulating the staff members on how Peter was an important part of the company and how the goals and discoveries of the company are more important than a single life, and how everyone within the company is a unified entity working on this. Basically, the typical evil monologue you get from evil organizations. Of course, a dark and secret image is displayed of a syringe showing how Peter was truly euthanized and how it's always been Async's plan to neutralize him and secure their interests in the backrooms. It's very likely as well that Async wanted to kill him and Peter somehow figured that out and they didn't want to transfer him to a different floor at all. So Peter never developed any schizophrenic or paranoia tendencies. He just learned the truth and that's why he wanted to escape to survive. Flashing images also display some ambiguous people, possibly the higher-ups of the Async facilities. There's also a shadow of a man in developed part of the city, revealing how it could actually be Peter who managed to reach the developed areas but unfortunately ultimately met his end by the hands of Async. This video showed how Async is a manipulative company who is slowly becoming more and more evil to secure their greedy goals, lying to public, depicting the backrooms as a safe space, despite so many anomalies happening and actual monsters being there, and on how they even killed a member of their own staff to secure the secrets. This video also showed how effective the lies of Async is, manipulating their employees and the public on how they had the best intentions but in fact were planning to kill Peter from the get-go. I guess when there's potentially billions on the line, many would go so far as committing many inhumane acts to save their interests, with Async being no different. I have to really give it to Kane Pixels for this video though, because the first couple of times I watched the video I actually believed the lies of Async and the person in authority who was going on a monologue explaining what happened. So yeah, I would say a fantastic video. And that's about it for this video, folks. Let me know what are your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed it, make sure to stay tuned for more by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host Star, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.